into workplace tools. How far do you want to go? But I think for now we would start from the beginning. Let's take it from the beginning. Let's look at if it were somebody who was just doing the basics or someone who was doing something really mid to large scale, it should be able to resonate with each of these separate individuals. So whether you are I'm trying to remember her name, the lady that said she is into the manufacturing and processing of kilishi, or you are Victorine, who is the virtual assistant, or whatever your space is, you should be able to resonate with what we are going to be discussing. So let me just share my screen quickly so that we can all move at the same pace. Sorry, just a second. Okay, please, can you see my screen? Let me just have a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you very much. So basically, what are we discussing today? Workplace productivity. Sorry, just a minute. Trying to full screen this up. Okay, so workplace productivity. Basically we are hoping that at the end of the day we look for ways to improve what we do through innovative work solutions. I know the day and times we find ourselves in, things have changed so much. If someone told companies that today they would be looking at the possibility of having staff who work for them and they don't come to the office, a lot of organizations would have said that that's literally impossible. But you see that happening a lot these days. It's everywhere. Even the so-called uh, traditional kind of organizations are slowly metamorphosizing to look at how they are bringing in technology, they are bringing in new systems to be able to achieve better, to be able to do a lot better than what they're already doing. So when you are looking at the productivity in the workspace, one question would be productivity. Does it mean the same thing to someone who is in business, who is self-employed, someone who's working in 9 to 5, someone who is working for government, someone who is working for a private sector organization? Does it mean the same thing? I think it means differently, a different thing for a different person or a different individual. Productivity usually is tied to what your expectation is in the first place. So if my expectation is at the end of quarter 3 for 2026, I want to have delivered three 40 feet containers of um, uh, peppered kilishi to um, 36 retail store chains in Nigeria. You would find out my definition of productivity with that background will differ from someone who works a 9 to 5 processing HMO registrations, for example. So it is going to be very specific for me based on what my targets are. The targets will define what productivity would mean for me as a person. So the foundations of workplace productivity. What are the very foundations of workplace productivity? One, we must understand that workplace productivity refers to the ability to achieve meaningful results with available time, energy, and resources. The resources available to me will be different from the resources available to Victorine, for example. And that's because of the unique space she is in. The time she has may not be exactly the same type of time schedule I have. looking at all of those things, how do they affect productivity in the workspace? A lot of us here understand that with Nigeria, there are very unique challenges. How do you ensure that you have power, for example? How do you ensure that you have internet? How do you manage traffic? I very interestingly would want to ask Victorine, how does she manage being a virtual assistant with and managing things like getting access to uninterrupted power, uninterrupted internet access, and also other unique things as the mere fact that you are a virtual assistant and you're in Nigeria, the trust issues, the restrictions because of your locations and things like that. These are challenges in the workplace that will affect your productivity. Now, these challenges, of course, will begin to have their impacts. They will begin to show the effect on how you achieve your results. Issues around communication, issues around being able to ensure that you do not have, for example, someone who is in manufacturing and processing, uninterrupted supply chains and flows, things like that. It will begin to be a real concern for you. So, having looked at all of that, the next thing that comes to mind is how much has technology helped to address these issues? How much has technology come to help us make this easier? There has been a lot of influence. There has been a lot of impact that technology has slowly but over time taken hold of in the workspace. We will discuss this as we keep going forward in this discussions. So, but at the end of the day, don't forget personalized productivity. That means productivity means different things for salaried workers. It will mean something different for entrepreneurs, depending on how you see what your targets are. That is very important. At the end of this session, we are hoping to be able to understand how to um, attain practical use for these tools we are going to be discussing, understanding the tools themselves, and being able to select the appropriate tools, and also applying productivity principles. Now, we might not be taking so much of a deep dive into very complex tools. We might just mention them, but remember, this is us just looking at the basics, taking our first dive into the process. It is expected that we should also go back, do a little bit of research, and see how these tools suit our specific needs and our specific spaces. Okay, so introducing the work framework. Basically, there is this thing that helps us, when we have these discussions, which is what we refer to as the work framework, as WORK. The W refers to work planning. How do you plan your work? Now, when I say work, I am not just referring to people who work 9 to 5. If you are an entrepreneur, for example, you work. If you are a business person, you work. If whatever it is you do, you actually work. So your work definition would be also unique to you. How do you prioritize it? How do you manage that process? I know even for me, for a while, I used to just approach my work as anything goes. Let's just go. We're going. We deal with whatever comes up. But you see, the problem with that is at the end of the day, it is difficult to quantify what you've done, what you've achieved. It is very easy for you to also fall prey to distractions. There's a high tendency to have a lot of, side distractions or side attractions coming up and pulling your focus away from where it should be. But if you have planned your work, it helps you to be able to say, okay, this is the flow from the beginning of the day, the first couple of hours, up to when probably you have a break and culminating up to the end of the day. There is that plan you follow through. At the end of the day, it gives you the ability to be able to look back and say, oh, yeah, we were able to achieve A, B, C, D. we missed out on this. We touched this a little bit, but we were not able to round up on it. So work planning, beginning, that's the first part. And a lot of times it's advised that this is done before the day. So if you are doing work planning for Monday, you should be able to do that probably on Saturday or on Sunday. If you're doing work planning for the week, you should be able to do it the week before, just to prep yourself ahead of time. The second thing there is organization. How do you organize yourself? There is this very salient point I read of one time, and it says that if it takes you more than 1 hour, 1 minute, sorry, if it takes you more than 1 minute to find a file or a document or whatever thing you need for work on your laptop or on your phone, if it takes you more than 1 minute, then you're disorganized. It is quite a strong statement to make, I know, but it pushes you to think, can you be that coordinated? Can you be that organized? So, for example, you do your business and you have your laptop you work with, you have your files, you have your pictures that you post and things like that. And if someone comes and says, "Oh, I saw a picture you posted 6 months ago. I liked the product, but I don't have the picture. It is a brown shoe with laces. It has a design by the side. It has black and white sole, and you posted it on so and so day. Can you find the picture?" And it takes you more than 1 minute to find that picture, the probability that you are disorganized is there. So if you look around that, you begin to understand that there is the need to have systems that helps you stay organized, helps you manage your files, helps you manage your records and things like that. Then we also have relationships and communication. How do we manage that process? How do we manage the engagement we have with our clients, with our suppliers, with our dealers, with our authorities, and the whole process around it? I wanted to, second thing that came to my mind when we were doing our discussions, maybe I will still give you the time to speak a little bit around it, is to somebody please remind me, the lady that does Kilishi, I'm still coming back to you again. How have you managed, my question, probably get around to that later. My question is, how have you managed engaging the authority? For example, NAFDAC with registration for your products. Has it been smooth? Has it been easy? What have you learned? You find out that these are the things that at the end of the day will affect your business one way or the other. No matter how much you have set to grow, you've set to do one or two things, if you have not made that process as smooth or as streamlined as possible, you continue to have bottlenecks in that space and it will be limiting. So you would ask, why am I interested? I work a lot with NAFDAC. We do a lot of work together, and I know how you can be working with them. So it will be interesting to have that discussion with you. And then finally, with the work framework, the final one is keeping track and reviewing. So we've done all we've set out to do from the beginning. There's been work planning, organization, relationships, and communication. And now, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the review period that has been set, we come back and we ask ourselves, how far have we gone? Are we on track? Are we doing well? Are we sliding back a bit? Are we going off track? That process of review, that process of just checking yourself is also very, very important. Tracking and reviewing will help you to reflect on progress and improve work patterns. So that, for me, in a sense, is what determines whether you grow or not. In as much as you've put in a lot of activities in the previous 3 points, this final one is what determines whether you're progressing, whether you're stalling, whether you're sidetracking, or whether you are retrogressing. So that is what we refer to as the work framework. So a quick dive into work planning tools. Let us still look at them based off the work framework we initially referred to. There are some tools we could use to make things a bit easier. Now, when you're work planning, for example, which is the first stage, you use calendars to keep track of what your activities for the day is. You know, back in the day with our fathers, calendar was the white sheet of paper you hang on the wall. But today, it has become much more efficient. Do we have digital calendars on our systems? When I say system, it could be your laptop, it could be your phone. It just keeps track of your activities for the day. Now, not just on for the 31 days of the month, but your calendar could actually help you literally track your activities for the hours of the day. So I have a meeting by 9. After that, I have another session by 10:30. I have another discussion by 11. So that tells you that I don't want to drag the 9 o'clock meeting to 11 because I have another thing by 10. So those kind of things are what a digital calendar helps you to achieve. And today with Google Calendar, as basic as Google Calendar is quite a very effective tool. It could tie with a lot of other features you have. Your Google Calendar will tie into your reminders, it will tie to your emails, it will tie to a lot of functionality. Just setting that up and allowing it run will be able to help you organize the entire flow for your day. The other part is it's actually a practice, not a tool, is the practice of time blocking. So you, while planning, you decide, okay, I will block this number of hours to be able to do A, B, C, D. I will block this number of hours to be able to do this other activities that I have got to do. Um, this is very important, and it's also advised that when you're looking at time blocking, you're blocking the most productive time of the day for the most important tasks that you have. So you look at what are the most important things you want to achieve for that day. And as you're blocking that time, you are blocking it to fit into the most productive time of the day. So some people are very productive in the morning. That's when they are most productive. That's the best time to do the top 3, top 4, top 5 tasks that you have for the day. Some people are most productive at night. You can always reschedule that to suit your productivity. So if you follow that flow, it takes us to the next item, which is task management. So tax management simply is saying you look at the list of things you have to do. I have 15 or 20 tasks I have to do for the day. It might be not very practical to do those 20 tasks in the day. So you begin to prioritize what are the most important things I must achieve. You you have to sit, you have to outline what those top priority tasks are. 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, 2 of them, whatever it is, highlight them, and that becomes your top priority. That becomes the most important thing, the top 3, the top 4, and you align those items within your most productive time frame. When you do that, you begin to pursue those things. Now, the interesting part of it is if you have a 15 task list and you are able to achieve very effectively your top 3 or top 4, you will still end your day feeling like you've achieved something. But if you have a 15 task list and you ended up achieving the least important 10, leaving the most important 5, you will struggle with attaining that satisfaction that, oh yeah, it was a productive day. Even though you did quite a number of things, you find out that your level of satisfaction with your productivity will be quite low. Now, planning for balance and boundaries, these tools will help you look at how to balance your work with your personal life, setting boundaries, reducing stress, and also increasing confidence. A lot of tools exist in this space. Um, the Microsoft platform is one very, very useful tool. Google too has quite a high level of efficiency within this space. We're looking at the entire Google platform, from the Google Calendar, your Gmail, your Google One, all of it. It is one complete package that helps you do all of this. If you're also looking at other platforms, you could look at Trello or Asana. These are things that helps you with planning for the day, planning for the week, planning for the month. They are with Trello and Asana, it's more of a project management kind of platform. It might require some more bit of learning, but with Microsoft To Do is something that you could actually learn quite easily as you keep using it. These tools are there, they are free, they are things that can help order or coordinate your day. At the end of the day, when you're going through that flow, you find out that, okay, yes, I had 15 things to do today. I was able to do 7 out of the 15, but I am satisfied because the main three, the top four, the top five were done and they were done well. I'm satisfied with the results I got from them. So it ensures that you end your day with a certain level of satisfaction for your productivity. The next one is organization tools. What are the tools available for you to help keep yourself organized? Now we've moved from planning, we are going into the space of organization. What are the things that helps you ensure that at the end of the day you have planned, but you have still followed your plan quite effectively? Um, yes, like I mentioned, we can still look at the Google platform, we can still look at the Microsoft platform. These are things that are very easy to use, both on your phone and on your laptops. A lot of times you carry phones, and the use really has not been very maximal. There are more that you can do with your phone, aligning it to the work that you do on a daily basis, the connections you're trying to build, the way you're trying to build, the process you're going through in building that structure. So, for example, look at consistent naming and folder structure. Remember what we mentioned about finding a file in a minute. So it's not really about how meaningful it is to me, who is a third party that is looking at your system. It is more about how meaningful it is to you, who is the owner of the structure, who is the person that uses the structure, and your ability to access it in an effective manner. So, how do you make it simple? How do you ensure it is intuitive? And it gives you that very easy access to retrieve whatever file or document you're looking for. Yeah, it might be easy to say, oh no, we I am not that kind of person that requires that. But the truth is, if you're documenting, if you hope to build your business, if you hope to build what you do to a certain level, then you would need to document, you need to keep records, you need to keep files. These are things that are very important. If you hope to do business, for example, with organizations or with somebody else, then you will need to keep documents. How do you want to ensure that those documents are organized and easily accessible for you? Just as basic as the system can be. Very important. Effective note-taking systems. Still on Google Keep, the OneNote platform. There are still lots of others that could give you voice to text if you need to take notes and things like that. Speaking about this part now, there's something that came up a while ago, and somebody said that when he goes into a business meeting, he likes to record. There is a gray area to that. Recording without someone's consent is quite an issue. Yes, it's understandable that, oh, I'm recording because I need to keep notes. So in those cases, you can use a voice to text platform or tool but it is good to allow that person know that, oh, please, I have to record this discussion because I want to be able to have access to every discussion we have, all the points, and be able to track through what I have to do. So inform the person, and then you can use those note-taking systems and keep record effectively. And also we have consistency over perfection. Like we said, it is not about keeping the perfect, easy to understand system. It's being consistent, keeping it as basic as it can be, such that it works and it works effectively uh, for for you and your setup. Then the next part of this will be looking at communication and collaboration. We've looked at how to plan the work we do. We've looked at how to um, organize ourselves. Now we are going to be looking at communication and collaboration. How do we ensure that we are communicating effectively? How do we ensure that we are building collaborative systems? I was discussing with someone a couple of days ago, and we were talking about something someone said during a webinar, and how much it has been misinterpreted. For example, the lady was speaking about the JAMB exams. I don't know if a couple of us heard about that incident where she said if your child is not able to navigate to the JAM center safely and back, that means it will be an indicator that that child is not ready to take JAM. You know, so we had a discussion about it, and we looked at it from the perspective that a lot of people had a lot of negatives to say about it, and it was a reflection of the effect of social media and the internet space on communication. So somebody just takes that singular comment, that singular statement, and posts it out there without the context of what she was speaking about. And you see people reacting and referencing all the way back to things like the kidnappings going on, the insecurity in the country, and all of that, and why that statement was insensitive. But she was just trying to say parents needed to build their children and ensure that they have certain skill sets required to function. So you find out that communication is a very delicate issue. Communication is a very, very important issue. Somebody wants to reach out to you, for example, and it takes the person probably 3 working days to even be able to connect to you. Is that a problem, or is that an effective system? I think that in itself is a problem. How can you ensure that if I am seeing your product for the first time and I say, oh, I want to reach out to the person who does this, I should be able to do that in 24 hours, even in the midst of all the spam calls, the fraudulent calls everywhere. There should be a system for me to reach you in a secure and safe manner, both for you, the business owner, and for me, who is your client, in 24 hours. And reaching you, getting some bit of basic feedback, that is very, very important. So for communication, there are formal email communications, messaging tools, video and voice calls. These are alternatives. A lot of people will say, "Oh no, emails are old." I beg to differ. Emails are still very functional. By the time you begin to take your business to a certain level, you find out that having a formal email structure becomes very important. Very important. When I say formal, to the point where if you run a business, your email may actually need to even carry your business name. So, for example, my email is emekaasogba.com@google.com. If I run a business and I begin to grow it, it would be good to have my email sound something like casogba@mybusinessname.com. That creates a certain level of confidence in the people I'm talking with. They know that yes, they're not just talking to a person, they are connecting with a representative of an organized formal structure. That is the message that things like that sends. So it tells them that, oh, okay, if this person I'm discussing with probably is no longer in that system and has gone to work with another company, those documents, those communication records are there within the official structure of the organization for them to go back to and say, yes, we know you as a client that we have been engaging with. So that's the advantages of email communication. We also have tools, other tools for communication, sort of messaging tools. Your average WhatsApp for business. That's one tool. You can look at Zoom, Teams, things like that. You could have the ability to have voice calls. You could have the ability to have text messages and chats and things like that. They not only give you the opportunity to connect, but they also give you the opportunity to keep that communication and the history. So there is a history that can be tracked to follow through that communication process. Then video and voice calls. This helps remove the inefficiency of distance, the inefficiency of time. For example, oh, I have a meeting somewhere, I might not be able to leave where I am and come to you, but we could have a video call, we could have a voice call, and we resolve whatever issues that may be standing between me and you doing business together. And then productivity through intentional use. Now, for example, when it comes to WhatsApp, a lot of us do WhatsApp for our private use. I do WhatsApp for my private use, and that's because I my own structure does not use WhatsApp business. We do a lot of Teams, we do a lot of Google Meet, we do a lot of Zoom. So I don't do WhatsApp for business, but I must build professionalism. I must build very effective workspace collaboration using the tools that are specific to my workplace. So that is the kind of considerations we need to look at. If you're going to be doing WhatsApp, can you be professional about it while you're using that platform? Then you have also for finance and invoicing, there are tools that helps you ensure that you can invoice your sales, you can send out invoices real time, make sure that these things are done effectively. If you have to receive payments, for example, how do you ensure that it is not going to be uh, um, impeded by the fact that maybe network is down or the person cannot go to a bank in this present day and time. So a lot of these tools are there, Paystack, Flutterwave, even our regular OPay. Ensure you have a corporate setup on these things. Excel and Google Sheets will help you track these payments, this invoicing, and then you have a full database of all your transactions. These are very easy to use tools that comes in handy whenever you need them. Now, if you move from invoicing, you also find out that it also helps you track inventory. With inventory, if you're into manufacturing, if you're into supplies, if you're into sales of some sort, you want to know what do you have per time, when do you need to restock, how long will it take you to restock, how how long does it take for your products to flow out, how long does it take for those same products to flow in from your vendors and from your own dealers on your own part. These are very important tools. With inventory, you have tools like Sortly, you have Zoho inventory, you have Inflow inventory. These are just tools and apps that you could use to track your products. Even your basic Excel and Google Sheets can still uh, serve this function for you quite effectively. Then, if you want to take it a step further, you're building dashboards. You're looking at how far have we done in a quarter, in a year, on an annual basis. You've grown to the point where you have people who are interested. You have investors who want to come in. You have um, clients that you're selling to. You want to show them dashboards of what you've done. You can use your Google Sheets. You can use Power BI. This, yes, is some intermediate to higher skill set level to be able to pull that off. You also have other AI productivity tools, the ChatGPT, like we all know, Copilot, Notion, Canva, Claude. For me, I like to say start with keeping it simple. it doesn't really require a lot of complexity. If you make it complex, a lot of times the AI tools just helps drive that complexity. But keep it simple, keep it clear, keep it concise. You find out that your AI productivity tools will always help you, always. So use ChatGPT, use Copilot, use Nova. If you understand each of them, you would see the best use case for them. For example, if I want to do some general kind of research, I tend to use more of ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek. If I want to probably review official communications, review official documents, build official frameworks, I do Copilot. So just looking through and seeing how each of them functions will help you understand, okay, if I need to do this, then this one might be good. There's this other thing that you could also try out, especially with these AI platforms, to refine your products. There's something I do sometimes. I can run a prompt on ChatGPT, take its product and run it on DeepSeek. So it just helps me, play around with that even more and have deeper insights to what, that area might be all about. But these are all options for you. So you have a question in your field, you want to improve a certain thing, or you're trying to even identify clients that could, be beneficial to your business. These are all productivity tools, AI productivity tools you could use, you know, and they could be very, very effective. I don't want to go too deep into how they function or what they do. They all are available for free to an extent, but I still would want to advise, if you want to be serious about your business, consider a paid version. Yes, I know we're in Nigeria. We always say, oh, no, the free version is good. Yes, for a time, for a while, yes, the free version works. But if you really want to, keep going up there and your target is high there, then prep your mind at some point. Prep your mind at some point to be able to, you know, pay the price and, get a paid version. It's much more effective. Then tracking and review. With tracking and review, you want to know how effective your work has been. You want to know whether you're actually been on track. Um, that's the part where you come back to yourself to say, how far have I gone? Whether you're doing this on a daily basis, you're doing this on a weekly basis, you're doing this on a quarterly basis, it doesn't really matter. It's based on what your setup is like. You know, basically, it's a critical part. It's often neglected, but it's very critical. It could save you time in future because now you understand what your precedence has been. It prepares your mind going forward. You just take that time, look back, consider review, and you learn, oh, my strengths are here, here, and here. So you focus, you throw yourself there a little bit more, and then build on it. You know, your simple Excel spreadsheets are good. They could do that very well for you, because don't forget, from your work planning phase to your organization phase to your communication stages, all of this you have, it gives you the opportunity to keep records, to keep files, to keep data that you can come back and look at this point where you are now doing your review and tracking of your progress. You just go back to those data sets you already have and begin to look at them to learn more as to where your strengths are and where you need to make some bit of adjustments as the case may be. It will also help you create a balance, because sometimes you can actually see that, oh, I am spending a lot of time doing um A, and B is suffering. So I need to be able to ration my time between A and B, so that as much as I'm producing, I am also marketing, or as much as I'm producing, I am also focusing on packaging, I'm focusing on delivery, I'm focusing on uh, um, account balancing and all of that, your finance aspects. It gives you the ability to understand that this is where the majority of my energy is going to. I might need to, you know, realign a little bit. Those are the advantages you could have with being able to track your activities. So, creating a personal productivity action plan, I think this is important. After we've looked at all we've discussed, first, for me, I don't think it's about carrying a lot. I prefer starting with one. From where we are, pick one. If you've been doing one, analyze it, look at what you've done so far, review it. Are there areas I need to improve on? If I haven't started at all, pick one tool, focus on it, learn to use it very well to the point where it begins to have an impact in your day to day. And you should be able to review that impact it is having. Focus on one habit. How does this tool help build a new habit? How does this tool help change an old habit to becoming more effective? Just one. Don't spread yourself thin. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Just focus on one and grow from one. Set that boundary that works, set that boundary that is practical. And over time, by the time you're coming back to do your review, you'll be able to track what your um, um, progress has been so far. So we will be concluding by just looking at the key takeaways and our next steps. One, our purpose or the purpose of this productivity tool basically is understanding that it is designed to serve people to reduce stress, improve work quality when it is used thoughtfully and consistently, and then personalized productivity. Understanding that productivity is personal, it varies by your individual context, and then the power of small changes, implementing one consistent tool. Don't pack a lot, don't drag a lot into your space and you get to the point where you're confused, it's not even effective, it becomes an obstacle actually. And then ongoing continuous learning and reflection. That is also very, very important. Ongoing learning and reflection. So at this point, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to take feedbacks, take questions if you have any. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Please, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I actually don't have a question. I want to say thank you so much, sir. And this training, though I joined in late, it's very helpful, very, very helpful. I took away two or three things which I never thought about. I've never thought about them. I knew them, but I have never thought about applying them in my job routines. And I also found out, like, okay, for example, the using the Google Calendar. I use the Google Calendar, but I've not thought about scheduling my assignments for maybe the week, like on a daily basis or whichever day it falls into. I've never. It's usually the thought always comes maybe this very some days before or almost the day and all that. I've never thought about if you have assignments ahead, you can just fix them in there, and your alarm or something would remind you, so you plan accordingly. And somehow, just like today's meeting, if I had registered it on the calendar that very day I saw the flyer, I know no one would need to remind me before the meeting to join. So these things are, I do not take it for granted. I'm really grateful I picked one of these. I picked this assignment lesson and some other lessons from the training. So and this would be also applicable to every other areas of my life. Then one of the things you also said when you were concluding about building on a thing, not being here and there, just build on something, a specific thing, build on it and build it well. Go back to review, realign, recommit to build whatever I'm building on, not to be here, 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 here. It's more like someone being scattered and lacking direction. Thank you so much. So these are the few things, some of the few things I picked from the training. I appreciate.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. Yeah, the beautiful thing about the Google Calendar is it can be both an organizer and a tracker. You know, your calendar can give you reminders, all sorts of reminders at various times, all sorts of reminders. It could track all your activities. It could track as as much as you're getting links for virtual meetings or virtual activities. The moment you just indicate that you're accepting that invitation and you allow it out to your calendar, it begins to track it for you. It sends you reminders and all of that. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Any questions, please? If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can drop it in the chat. Okay, do we assume no questions? Okay, if you have any contributions so that we can end the session. Go ahead, Ma.
Please, is it possible to make provision of those AI tools, or the slide or the summary of the slide? I will appreciate.
Yes, can share it. It's possible.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you for this insightful session. I just have two questions. Number one is how to avoid overcomplicating systems, like my system now with too many tools. That's number one. Then number two, are there some of these tools that you mentioned, are they teams friendly? Like, can you work in a collaborative form with, like I have a team I work with and I like them to work together on a particular project and I have to schedule Google Calendar and for myself, does it have collaborative, futures where we can work together as a team and, also track progress? Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. It does. Sorry, my video is off. I'm trying to turn it. I think network or something. So it does. Speaking about the part of over cloud or overcrowding your system or your laptop or your phone or devices with these AI tools, I think that is very, very possible. The truth is, if there is no order to which you do it, you could actually at some point begin to create even more confusion. But the beautiful thing, on the other hand, is that a lot of these systems have the ability to tie one into another. So you see, for example, Google Calendar, in fact, the entire Google ecosystem as a whole has that interconnectivity. Microsoft has also been able to achieve the same thing. So you would see Microsoft being so seamless with Copilot, for example. Very, very seamless. If you are an organization, for example, one thing I would advise at the point of being an organization, you would need to consider Microsoft Enterprise. With Microsoft Enterprise, it is the perfect fit for a team. It makes it seamless. I must say, with Microsoft Enterprise for your team, you're looking at very seamless meetings, communication flow, data tracking, scheduling, um, um, attendance signing, everything, like literally everything. There is a part of Microsoft um, enterprise that is not very talked about, but all the way down to location tracking, so it gives you the ability to be able to do all of that for your team, not just for you as an individual. Yes, if it's an individual, you might not need the whole enterprise. You can do that on the other options of Microsoft. But with the team structure for an organization, Microsoft Enterprise is your best friend. Is your best friend. Yes, over.
Is there any other question? So we can round up the session. Okay, I see that there are no more questions. So this brings us to the end of this session where we discuss workplace productivity tools. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who joined. This is powered by Hearts on Heels initiative, and we do this every month, once every month. Hearts on Heels initiative is a community for women, and it is focused on us being more productive, both in the workplace, in our businesses, in our careers, even in our God-given missions and projects. It also focuses on being beautiful inside and outside. Inside being that you grow to becoming a woman of virtue, building on values, building on principles, and outwardly you're supposed to be beautiful, skincare, hair care, all of those things that make you beautiful outwardly. And we also encourage ourselves on becoming not just professing Christians, but practicing Christians. So we encourage Christian living. So I really thank you all for coming. And there will be a heart out session by the month of May, and I would like to see us all there. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.